Today's podcast is brought to you by StrongHeartAcademy.com, where no heart is no victory. We are also brought to you by BJJ to go. If you want to build your game and learn jiu-jitsu, go to bjj2go.com. All right, your name?
Chris Marshall.
Chris Marshall. I asked you to hear, you kind of came to me and said you might want to talk about kind of jiu-jitsu and how it's helped you. You said this is before, like for a while now, and you're getting ready to leave and go on a little journey. So I thought, well, we should do this before you leave, and just kind of talk about how it's affected your life. How long have you trained for?
I came in right before July 4th, 2018, like July 1st or 2nd, and that's how long I've been here. So 4.5 years now.
With Strongheart.
With Strongheart the whole time. And I came in because of Casey. I used to be a professional wrestling referee.
Yep.
Casey got into training because he wanted to be a professional wrestler.
Yep.
Well, he would show up before shows to help with ring setup and all that. And being a referee, I like to check the ring, make sure everything's set up appropriately so we don't have any weird injuries.
Yeah.
Rings are a dangerous place, even for boxing or whatnot. There are metal hooks that go over the ropes. So if you have one of them upside down, someone backs into it, you could have serious injuries.
For sure.
So just basic safety stuff like that. Well, one day Casey was like, hey, do you know any jiu-jitsu? I was like, yeah, I did a little bit way back in like 2006. But there was like a mixed class with Greco-Roman and whatnot. So I started screwing around with Casey, and he would just fucking wreck me like it was nothing. He wasn't even like breathing hard. So a couple more shows that happened.
You know, Casey's a black belt here, and I don't know if it's his build or what, but people underestimate him. It's a big mistake on their part, because he's a legit black belt, and he's has a wide range of technical ability. Like he can attack you from different ways. He can play a lot of different games that people, I think, for whatever reason, they just, for the first time they meet him, they don't know. And if it's no-gi and he doesn't have a black belt on, they really represent him or underestimate him, what his capabilities are.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So that happened for several shows. He was like, what do you think about coming in for some classes? I was like, all right, let's see what happens. So he brought me in, and I think after the first class, I was just like, okay, I'm in. Let's do this. One of the biggest things, like,
so we would just goof around in the ring.
Yeah. And what was
in your like referee outfit?
Oh no, I hadn't dressed out yet.
Oh, okay.
This is still before the fans got in.
Okay.
What I found interesting about it was none of the professional wrestlers or even the guys who were still in training would come out and try and learn from Casey. So it would just be me and him in the ring for like an hour before a show.
Yeah, that's a mistake on their part. But
yeah, and it was weird. Like, they're all grapplers, even if it's professional grappling. They still do actual wrestling moves. Why would you want to learn some more moves you could use in the ring?
Yeah.
Kurt Angle, ankle lock.
Yeah.
It's a very visually dramatic move. It's legit.
Yeah.
And people just wouldn't want to learn, so that stood out. And then, like I said, took the first class, signed up right away. And what I got out of jiu-jitsu immediately was what I also got out of wrestling and I was missing in my life, which was the camaraderie. As a man, you need to be around other men.
Yeah, I think
I was in insurance, and that's a female-dominated field. And the second I got around men again, I was like, oh, I need to do more of this. The job's fine, but I'm lacking being around men.
Yeah.
And that carried over from wrestling to here. And then we're all beating the shit out of each other, which felt great. I didn't realize I needed that too.
Yeah.
Men need to fight, even if it's not over anything serious, even if it's just training.
Yeah.
We need to use our bodies in much more physically demanding ways than our modern life has led us to believe.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't need to hunt anymore. There's no mass hordes coming on the border that we need to go out and take care of. but those instincts I feel are still there to protect and to train hard, and so like I think so many people are missing out in that a lot in their lives, and the camaraderie too. Like once you become, an adult, your friends you don't see as much anymore. They get married, they have kids, they're like into their profession, and then I think it's harder and harder to hang out with people, and harder to hang out when doing positive things. We're like, a lot of people will just go to the bar and that's the hangout, and then, but it's like, is that a positive thing for you, and the amount of money you could just spend at a bar is crazy compared to like just taking a class of some sort. I mean, I love jiu-jitsu, so I would say jiu-jitsu, but like definitely the camaraderie is great in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, it's real camaraderie here because you're going through some real stuff. Whether it's on the mat with someone just giving you a ton of pressure and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through this. I want to tap. I got 10 seconds. Can I make it? That person trying to kill you is your friend, and you come out of that experience a little bit tougher no matter what. The friendships you develop at a bar is just drinking, doing stupid stuff. You're not making each other better.
No, you're not pushing each other to
especially if that's your hangout place.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you just meet someone, you just randomly go out a bar one time, oh, hey, we made a friend, and that's just not what we do. That's just how we met. This is what we do. This is how I meet people, and because we try and hurt each other regularly, you develop a very tight friendships through that.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I've eased up on training over particularly the last month, besides just work, was it's going to be hard to leave here. Not my apartment. It's not going to be hard to, just take a year and go off and do what I'm going to do, which we can cover in a bit. It's going to be hard to leave all of my friendships that I made here.
Yeah.
You can't really pause a friendship, disappear for a bit, and then come back and pick things up right where they were. There's a lot of growth that's going to happen for everyone, and I want to be there for it, but I can't be because I have to do my own growing.
Yeah.
I'm still going to miss everyone to no end.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. It's like getting used to not being around as much.
Yeah. I'm trying to make it less painful for when it does happen.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to train a lot before I go. I just needed that little breath.
To feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can appreciate the last little bit.
Yeah, I get it. One more thing I would say is like with the camaraderie thing too is like because like we're trying to submit each other, right? And in jiu-jitsu we have basically we're saying uncle by saying tap, but there is a trust level because I'm trusting you that you're not going to break my shoulder or my arm or choke me unconscious because I said the words tap, And if I can't trust you, then I can't really train with you, So like the trust level that you have, I think, with people that you train with is kind of a little bit beyond those other relationships that you might have because we don't have to have a trust level. Maybe you might share some deep secrets over a couple beers or something, I guess, and then you're trusting them to not tell everyone. Maybe that, but there's something really like hardcore about the trust of like, because if I choke you,
being right there in the moment.
If I was really evil, I could literally kill you. Like if it was like something crazy. I mean, I've never heard of such a thing, but the truth is, like, if you got my back and you were choking me, I'm trusting you that I tap, that you let go. But the truth is, I have your life. My life is in your hands. If you decided that I want to murder someone today, and I happen to be the guy in there, like that's a trust thing. That I'm trusting that you're going to take care of me. And then even when we shake hands, like we're both mutually trusting that, like, hey, when one of us says that we're done, and we're not going to go past that line. That injure each other or literal murder. So I think something psychological about that is helpful that a lot of men I don't think get in their life that kind of level of trust. And probably again the same thing with like when if we were be hunting, you know, or if we were fighting off some horde of Mongols or whatever, like, you know, like there is a trust level there too. Like if you ever hear about combat veterans, they're like, I just trusted the guy to my left, I trust the guy to my right. I'm not a veteran, but like I've talked to many, and they say the kind of same thing. It's like so much of it's just I just trust my guys that they're going to protect me and I'm going to protect them. So I think that's kind of a weird psychological thing that we don't ever discuss, but it's
it's there.
It gives you a sense of almost like comfort, I think, for me.
Yeah, because we're talking about tapping. I trust everyone here enough to where I'm not worried about tapping. They know when they have the submission, even if I'm being stubborn or if I'm in a position where I can't say they'll still stop at that point when they know an injury is about to happen and check.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about actually being injured if I'm in a position where I can't say or physically tap.
Yeah.
There was an incident Saturday. Justin had a weird grip on me. He was on top, and I slipped out underneath, and he started Kimuring himself as he went face down. And I stopped right there because I knew if I kept moving, he still had the grip. I was going to destroy his whole shoulder.
Yeah.
So I stopped. I checked on him. He let go of the grip and moved so he could get out of it safely.
Yeah.
And that was something where we were in a position where he couldn't say tap.
Yep.
If he said it, I couldn't hear it.
Or fast enough.
Because my face was the other way. His face was the other way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hear him trying to touch anything, but I knew we're in that spot. Time to stop. Check on your partner.
Yeah,
that doesn't exist in any other form that I can think of.
Yeah, and the ego of, you know, knowing that you could just let go. You don't have to win right here. Like it's not, you know, like I'm winning if I just tap you, but I'm also going to hurt you. So am I really winning?
Yeah.
Like I want to hurt my partner.
One of the best comments I heard about training was, are you trying to train or are you trying to win training?
Yeah.
I'm trying to train.
Yeah.
Winning is a totally different thing I'm not worried about.
Yeah.
That's for fighting. That's for tournaments.
Yeah.
I'm not fighting or winning tournaments here. I'm here training. I would much rather take care of my partner than get a tap.
Yeah. Do you find anything else that's kind of helped maybe your outside life with jiu-jitsu? I mean, you said camaraderie and stuff, but like, do you feel like...
I could go internally with it, yeah.
Do you feel like there's been benefits outside of training, you know, that your home life?
When I first started, I was around 300 pounds, and I got over 310. I got over 310, stopped weighing myself, because I didn't want to know how high it was.
Yeah.
There was one fundamentals class. It was the last roll of the day, and no one wanted to roll with me. No one said it. I don't know if anyone even thought it, but I had the distinct feeling no one wanted to roll with me because I was the big fat guy, and everyone's tired.
Yeah.
And that was not a great feeling. So that was somewhere in 2019. But then I was 39, coming up on 40, and I had been telling myself for a few years, at 40, you're just going to stop drinking. You'd been drunk for 20 years. You could chill out for a while. And so that feeling of no one wants to roll with me because I'm fat kind of lined up perfectly with me wanting to stop drinking. Stopped drinking and changed my diet right before the COVID lockdowns happened. So talking about benefits off the mat, getting sober was enormously helpful for my life. And doing it when I did was probably the best thing that happened. I can't imagine drinking how I was drinking while being locked down.
Yeah, yeah.
That would have been absolutely horrible.
A lot of people fell into that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's a lot of people that are struggling to get out of that right now.
Oh, for sure.
And hopefully the new year, you know, people will maybe they'll start training and that can help them stay straight, you know.
But that right there helped with my mindset going into the lockdowns. And then coming out, I really, really just wanted to keep training. I had developed that habit of being physical, so it felt weird not going out and doing stuff. But then having the school open back up is what kept me mentally sane so that I could function around other people, because we weren't around anyone. You were just by yourself, and I was just me and my dog. So being around people was phenomenal. But having that access to people helped when I had to deal with people at work, because I very rarely interacted with them. But when I did, now it's not coming out weird because I'm actually having interactions with humans. So I'm still maintaining some sort of like normal behavior.
Yeah.
But then I was able to keep a really positive mindset through the over 2 years of working from home, everyone being locked down and everything. 2020 and 2021 were phenomenal for me. I went from over 300 pounds down to 235.
That's awesome.
I'm
80 pounds.
Yeah, I'm totally
or
sober.
more, possibly more, because you didn't know at the one point.
Yeah, I haven't had a drink of alcohol in almost 3 years now. It's 2 years, 10 months, something like that.
Plus, how much money did you save?
All the money I'm saving. My body feels fantastic. And then everyone else around me notices just how much more positive I am. Because I don't have the alcohol and all that crap like weighing me down constantly, because it affects your mood, your mindset, and all of it. And I'm not carrying around those burdens anymore.
So, because I've noticed over the last couple of years, maybe 2 years, I guess, since COVID, just changes it seem like that you started to just gradually kind of make in your life. Even like you're leaving, right, to go to Tennessee, and what sparked that? What got you into that's kind of a big deal. What that whole family dynamic for yourself, I don't know if that was jiu-jitsu related or whatever, but maybe it's just on the same line of like just working on your life and trying to.
So that came out of nowhere. But if it weren't for jiu-jitsu and recognizing where I was like mentally, and where I was with my diet, I wouldn't have been prepared to deal with it when it showed up. When I was 2 years old, my biological father disappeared from my life. I won't get into the backstory of that, but he disappeared under circumstances which made it totally acceptable to believe that he was dead. So the man who raised me, I called him Dad my whole life. Didn't know any different until 13 or 14 or whatnot.
Did you know?
No, I didn't know until then.
Okay. So when you were like 13, you found out that that's not
but
biologically, but he raised you. I mean, regardless.
He raised me.
I always say the man that's there is the man that's there.
Yeah, he's my dad. I still call him Dad to this day. So I never was like wanting a father. I always had one. So one day after open mat, March 11th of 2022, coming back from a different school's open mat, and I get a message through Facebook from a woman saying she thinks she's my half-sister. I think she's under the belief I'm her half-sister through my dad who raised me. My reply to her was, I doubt that, but I'll hear you out. She followed up by asking me a bunch of questions that didn't matter. I'm like, if I'm your half brother, who's our shared parent? And she shared his name, and I almost crapped myself. I'm like, what are you talking about? This dude's dead.
Yeah.
I pulled over at a gas station or whatever, replied real quick, and then just hauled ass home.
So it was right when you got done training.
Yes.
So tired, sweaty, and just...
Yeah. So I was like, okay, let me reply. I'm tired. I'll just go home, shower, and I'll deal with it after that.
Yeah.
So I had that conversation with her, and the very next day I came into open mat here, and Todd was here. He was the very first person I spoke to about this. I showed him the message.
Todd's another black belt here. That
he's one of the
here.
instructors.
Yeah, and I've known Todd for 22 years, my whole jiu-jitsu life, I guess.
Yeah. Again, one of those trust things. He's someone I knew I could go to and be like, hey, here's this really important thing.
Yep.
And I showed it to him. He's like, okay, this looks really legit. Do this, this, and this.
He said that.
Yeah. And I followed those 3 things. In short, it was you have to have a story that the father can confirm that no one else would know. And he has to be able to tell you that story. And so
The father.
Yeah. And so I had picked the circumstances of him disappearing. So he more or less repeated back to me the story I had received when I was a kid. I was like, well, I guess this is legit. So at 42 years old, my biological father appeared back in my life because my half-sister went looking for me. So that's been a lot to deal with.
And it's, you know, I've leaned on Todd many times. I've asked his opinion. I respect his opinion, and I know other people in the gym, the academy, have, talked to Todd too. It's almost like a wise sage or whatever to talk to, and he's helped me myself like multiple times of had some conversations about opinions on things, and that's another thing for me. Like jiu-jitsu for me has helped is like talking to people that are older than me, that might have had a little bit more life experience. I don't know how much older. He's probably 15 years older than me. And so like for me, like that's been helpful to talk to him. And so like
jiu-jitsu gives you an odd access to people with
Yeah.
resources and skills that you would never otherwise have access to or even
Yes.
think to look for.
Yeah.
Because of Todd's background, he used to be in law enforcement.
Yeah, investigations.
And that's why I was like, this is the perfect person to talk to.
Yeah, he used to do, so he knows how to investigate things.
Yeah, and none of his alarm bells went off. And I was like, this is a good sign then.
Yeah.
So that's happening. That messed with my time on the mats a lot. Because that's just a lot to have to process and deal with.
Yeah.
I went back to my therapist to help with it. Because that was March. I went out in July and met them. And all the old stuff I had developed to maintain my sobriety and my sanity through COVID and all that, they started falling apart at the beginning of 2022. Because like my dog died.
Yeah.
Another thing was I met my biological son.
Yep.
Right before I flew out to Tennessee.
Yeah. I got to meet him.
Yeah, I brought my son in here. So right after coming back from Tennessee, all those old habits and patterns I had built for all of that, like started falling apart. And now I'm at the point where it's like I have to restructure how I handle myself. But jiu-jitsu is still the main building block around that. Because again, of everything I've already mentioned, like I still need all of that in my life. It's just how do I patch up the rest of it so that it points in the direction I still want to go.
Yeah.
Because I still want to do this. I want to maintain my job and that. But now I have to incorporate this whole other life into it.
Yeah. Different family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've done pretty well still with sobriety, or you feel like you're back on the...
Oh, no, I'm still great with not drinking.
Okay, yeah. That's good.
Yeah, that wasn't even an issue. I wasn't concerned about that at all.
Okay.
Yeah, the only time I struggled at all was the 2 months we were locked down. Because I couldn't even come in to train.
Yeah, I mean, we opened up a little early. We did a lot of secret training. Me personally, I can't not train. It's part of like me not taking medicine, like otherwise I'm going to have to go to a psychiatrist and take medicine. And I have depression. I have issues too. So it's like not really an option for me. So I'm like anyone that, I said, I understand the risks that people, if you're afraid of COVID, and at this time we didn't know, back then was like, people are dying and things like that. And so I was just like, put it on people like, hey, if you want to train, you can. If you don't feel comfortable, you feel this is dangerous, please don't come in and get yourself exposed or anything like that. For me, I was ready to die to do jiu-jitsu. Like that sounds crazy, I think, for a lot of people, but like that's how important it was for me to continue to train. So It helped me a lot, as a business owner too. The stress of COVID and like the government was not super helpful for small businesses.
I remember you.
And so it was just the training was a relief valve versus like drinking. Like I said, like instead of you can handle it one way or another, and you have the stress regardless. So it helped me a lot those 2 months to continue to train.
There were 2 months or 2 times for 2 months I didn't train, and one of them was the lockdowns.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 months was right after getting back from meeting my family in Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's just because with everything that was going on, somehow jiu-jitsu added stress to my life. And that was weird. I was like, okay, something's going on. I just need to take a break. And that's where the therapist became helpful, because I had to relate to everything in a different way. And once I was able to do that, I was able to start showing up again.
Like reorient yourself?
Yeah, sometimes you just have to change how you're looking at a thing in order to like re-engage with it.
Well, the reality of your life has fundamentally changed.
Yeah.
You have a whole family now, a whole different family on top of the family you have. And in the middle of like
all of what's happening socially. Well, at the beginning of the year, like I was still focused on the purple belt test and doing all of that stuff. But then all this other stuff comes in. It's like, this is so important. I couldn't focus on other stuff. And so that's why it became stressful. I was still stuck in the old habit of get your purple belt, but this is super important, and that you don't have time to study for the purple belt. And like I got into like a really weird bad thinking process. So I had to change how I related to everything. So I started treating jiu-jitsu as it's fun, it's exercise, you're getting out of the house. And then you have therapy so you can deal with what's come up.
Yeah.
Just separate the two.
Professional, yeah.
And then I got the gym pass so that I could do stairs on days when I wanted to give up on doing everything, but I still had to go out and still move somehow. So between those 3 things, I got back into the groove of showing up. Work kind of messed some things up, but it started going from being fun to me wanting to like train seriously again like I had previously. I'm trying to get myself back to that place mentally where I was doing 30 days in a row.
Yeah. I mean, there was a point where you were training every day.
Yeah, legit.
Literally every day. Yeah. And we're closed on Sundays, so you had to find another place to train. And then I think on Fridays you did open mats at another gym as well, just to keep every day.
Yeah, and I had managed that 2 times because it's brutal on your body.
It's hard on your body, especially at an older age.
Yeah.
If you're not 22.
Yeah. And I'm trying to get myself back to that place mentally because I felt fantastic when I was doing that.
Yeah.
Basically everything in my life was perfectly balanced when I was able to pull that off.
Yeah.
So I was taking care of work, I was taking care of myself, I was getting the rest that I needed, my diet was on point, and I had perfectly structured out everything so that through those 30 days, I didn't have to worry about anything. I just walk my dog, go to work, go to jiu-jitsu, and everything else was taken care of. I didn't have to do a whole lot of thinking.
Yeah.
And I'd like to get back to that spot.
Yeah. So you're going to go to Tennessee for a year, right?
Yes.
Or the plan is a year. And then you're just going to work remote, right?
I am. Fortunately, my work is being really awesome. And I discovered why it's important to actually care at work. A lot of people think, oh, I get minimum wage, you're going to get minimum wage effort, and then wonder why they never get a raise.
Yeah.
Well, if you're getting paid $10 an hour, but you're working at $15 an hour,
yeah,
you're showing these people that you're worth way more. Well, you're going to start making way more.
Yeah.
So
especially nowadays where they have to retain people, and it's hard to retain people, they're going to pay more. It's just they have to retain the good ones.
Yeah, well, it's that mentality of jiu-jitsu. Like, you got to keep working and working and working. You got to put the work in to get the stripe, to get to the next belt, to pass the test, to survive the round. You apply that at work and just work a little bit harder than everyone else.
Yeah.
It's going to stand out. You don't even have to work that much harder.
Yep.
You work 5% harder than everyone else. Yep. At the end of a year, that stands out.
For sure.
So that's been working out very well for me at work.
They recognized your efforts.
my numbers are through the roof. They started
It's good.
handing me
It's good
projects and
when you
stuff.
have a job that can that there's numbers. Like if you have a job where they can track what you've done, it's very. I think that's helpful for the employer and the employee, because the employee can go, hey, look, this is what I've done, and the employer can go and can see like, oh, you know, especially if an employer has a lot of employees, it's hard to track each one to know, like, to visibly, like, mentally go, oh, this person's working hard or whatever. When you can look at numbers, all like, oh, it's black and white, like he's doing this X amount more. You know, not all jobs have that ability to.
Right. You're
doing maybe a service, but like their numbers aren't tracked. Like track numbers are good. I think that's huge. But jiu-jitsu is that way too. You know, like we track attendance, but also there's like tests for belts. And it helped me tremendously, like for goal setting, to understand like it has to be trackable. Like how can I track what I'm doing? Yeah. And then that helps me push to do more, because like your perception of what you're doing versus what like you're visibly seeing is helpful. You know, like you could have a perception like I'm not doing what I thought, you know, but then you look at numbers and you go, oh, I am doing more than I thought I was doing, or I can do more than I thought, you know.
Yeah, because they give us our weekly numbers. I realized in 2021 I could actually speed up a lot of things. So I improved at work using those numbers, and then I got my numbers so good that they didn't have any problem letting me go work remote for a year, because I just went through 2.5 years of working remote, and my numbers improved every single year.
Yeah,
like this is a guy we can trust to go do this.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just a year. He's going to come back, and then so on and so forth. But it happened because I applied that mentality from the mats to my job.
Yeah.
Just work a little bit harder, study a little bit more, learn how to be a little bit more efficient.
Yeah.
And it kind of worked itself out.
It works. Yeah. Consistency, diligence, persistence, like those things are huge lessons that I think that people struggle with, even in jiu-jitsu. Like I'll tell people, you don't have to, like you were training every day. You don't have to do that, but like you do have to set a day and say, this is my day that I come, you know, whatever it is, Mondays and Wednesdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those are my days, Mondays and Thursdays, and say that, and just like this is routine. Like this is what I do on those days. And if I miss, then I have to make it up. It's when it's like just random. Maybe I'll go today. Maybe I'll go today. You won't ever see progress that way.
You can't grow if you're doing things on a whim.
You can't. You have to have it set, and just and then the routine just kind of takes over for you. Yeah. And then you have to say, okay, when I show up, I'm going to be working on this or whatever, because then you can't also get stuck in the routine of just doing it and just like going through the motions. Yeah. But I think the first step though is just setting the routine. Yeah. And then they say, like, you know, discipline or motivation, right, versus discipline. It's like, well, eventually you run out of motivation. So, and it's hard to motivate every day. So if you set a routine and then it's part of your discipline of your day, this is just what I do. Just like this is, I wake up and I take a shower. You know, it's no different. Like every day at this time I do this thing. And I feel like that'll take over from the motivation wise, where like the days were like, man, I don't want to I just want to stay home.
Yeah. When I was doing my 30 days, there were days I was physically just wrecked.
Yeah.
And it was
just drag. You got to drag yourself.
Yeah. The only thing that got me in was discipline, because there was no motivation left. It's like, this is awful. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And then the discipline is like, well, because you got a week left.
Yeah. Because you said you would.
Yeah. And it's weird to choose to suffer, but that's where the growth comes from, because you're getting rid of all the dead, useless stuff from your life, so that you can I totally forgot what the word was, but so you can grow new things.
Yeah. For growth.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes a forest has to burn so it can have new growth.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes.
But then going with setting patterns and whatnot for the future, especially if you're just randomly trading, what I had done to fix my relationship with jiu-jitsu and getting back was I looked forward to what am I going to be doing in Tennessee for jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
That school's only open Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
And those are the advanced days here.
Yeah.
So it's like Tuesday, Thursdays, that's perfect. I can stay late. I can take the other class. So I can get 2 hours a day there. But then I would have to go to a different town Friday, Saturday, or Sunday to train. And that's why I was glad I got the stairs thing, because they have one gym out there, Planet Fitness, which we have out here. So I was like, let me get that pass here. I can start working out at this one. So that way when I go to Tennessee, all my patterns are already in place because I'm already doing it here.
Yeah. And, you know, there might be days in the year that you get a little lonely because you don't know anyone there. And it's good to have the patterns, start the patterns and start the routine so that they take over. And then you might meet people at the gym. We meet people at the jiu-jitsu gym there, or 2 different jiu-jitsu gyms. And I think that'll help you not get lonely, you know. Yeah. I mean, your dad will be there. But
it's going to be weird trying to figure out that balance between still having some sort of life and learning about my family.
And then you got to make room for the new family too, so that they got to be put into the life.
Well, the whole me going to jiu-jitsu and the gym is going to be more about me having time for myself away from that so I can process it.
Yeah.
That it is for the sake of doing jiu-jitsu to get better at jiu-jitsu. At least at the beginning.
What does your therapist think of this? Like, does she have anything to say about jiu-jitsu, or is it like she think it's unhealthy for you, like the amount you did, or does she think it's good? Or
I don't think she and I have talked about jiu-jitsu a whole lot.
Yeah.
I think she did ask me why I was doing the 30 days thing. Mm-hmm. I was like, just to see what I can get out of my body.
Yep.
And I was going through this when I was doing the stairs. About 2 weeks ago, actually, let me back up. There's a professional wrestler by the name of Alexander Hammerstone who I met when I was a referee. Mm-hmm. He's a monster. He did 345 floors in 1 hour on a stairs machine. I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick a really ridiculous goal and chase that number.
Yeah.
It's a number I shouldn't get. I'm 43. I'm overweight. I'm not nearly in the same shape as he is. But why not pick something ridiculous? If I could do 30 days, let me pick another ridiculous target. So I got really close, and I hit 333 floors one day.
Whew.
And right near the end of that, I was like, man, what would happen if I actually like put real effort into something? Then a week goes by, and I go back up on the stairs, and I get 360 floors in an hour.
Holy moly. What was his record?
He hit 345.
So he just smashed his record.
So I hit 362, I think it was.
Holy crap.
I'm still feeling that because that was from last week.
Okay.
But again, I had that moment like, man, I think I've been bullshitting myself this whole time.
Limiting yourself. Yes.
Because if I can pull off 362 floors in an hour when I really shouldn't even be getting close, what else can I do if I really just say, fuck it, I'm going to do this?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out some more of those ridiculous things to aim for. Now I'm aiming for 400 floors in an hour, but I'm going to look for other really ridiculous things to go for.
Yeah, I was listening to, lately I've been listening to these interviews with Navy SEALs and Delta Force guys, and so many of these guys are wrecked. But one of the things I was listening to last night, the guy goes, well, what do you think you got out of BUD/S? And he was like, well, first of all, I loved BUD/S. And he's like, I know everyone says they hate it. It's the worst ever. BUD/S training, Hell Week was terrible. He's like, and it was tough. But for me, I got out of like every day, I realized I could do more than I think I can do. Oh. Like, he was like, there are these times where they go, you need to give me, he's like, when you don't think you can do any more push-ups. He's like, and they go, you do 5 push-ups or you're kicked out right now. And he's like, and then you end up doing 7. And you're like, oh, wait, I didn't think I could do 0. And I just did, he asked for 5 and I did 7, and he just said that it brought so much into my life that I know that I'm limiting myself, what I think is possible. And it's just your mind is your greatest asset and your greatest enemy. You know, like it could push you to go more, or it could also talk you into like self-limiting belief systems. Like, well, I'm not worth this, or I can't do this, versus like, oh, like you said, a crazy number, this dude that was in incredible shape. Yeah. Like, I can't, and you said, I can't do that, I'm out of shape, but let's see what I can do. And then you get close to it, and then you're like, oh, wait, this is attainable. And then you smash the record.
Yeah.
And those things, you know, jiu-jitsu did that for me too. Like beating people that when I first started, just everyone murdered me. And it took me so long to feel that I even understood jiu-jitsu. And I got to a point where like I beat everyone in the school that I trained at, and including the instructor. And then, and I just remember going, oh, well, like I kept saying like I'm younger, I'm weaker. You know, I would say I have the opposite of like being overweight when I was young. I was so skinny. Like I've been so skinny my whole life, but that also means that you're fairly weak. You know, like that like
you don't have the fuel to develop the muscles.
Yeah, you know, people go, oh, you're in shape, but it's like, I mean, I'm in shape, but like I can't push someone. You know, like if they push me, I fall over. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'd have this like self-limiting, I think, thought process is like, oh, I'm smaller and I'm not as strong and I can't beat this guy because he's more athletic or he's more whatever. And when I started to realize like, well, you can change, you know, like you don't have to stay skinny, you know, you don't have to be whatever the thing is you are. Yeah. And it's a possibility,
you know. Because we're right there. When I was a white belt, I used to tell myself, I can't do this. And very, very quickly, I think it was about the 3 to 4 month mark, I changed that from I can't do this to I can't do this yet.
Yeah, now. Maybe
that simple yet changed everything so much.
For sure.
But it's one thing to hear the phrase. It's totally different to realize it. But you're the only one stopping yourself from achieving anything.
Yeah. I took my son Friday. His buddy likes to do, or they're trying to do scooters, like those little scooters. Yeah. And my son had like really crappy one that we bought him that barely fit him anymore. It was really cheap. And his buddy had a really nice, like expensive scooter. And they went to indoor skate park because it was raining. And I went there and I bought him a nice one. I bought him like a really nice one. And he's falling and he's getting a little like teary-eyed a little bit. And I said, come here, man, like what's up? And he's like, you just wasted this money. Like, I'm not good at this. I'm like, dude, that I know you suck. Get over it. Like I'm like, I didn't buy this because I think you're amazing. I bought this because you're trying, and you do need a little bit better. You needed a better scooter because the one area they wouldn't even allow him in that area because the scooter might collapse and like hurt him. Yeah. So I said, look, you're going to fall. I just want you to get up. I don't care if you're being awesome. Like you fall down, you have to get up. And I'm proud of you for getting up. You're getting frustrated because you feel like you should be awesome on day one, and that's not going to happen. You're not good now, but you will be if you continue to train. And his buddy, was getting tired and just was stopping, and my son wasn't stopping. He just kept falling and got up, kept falling and getting up, falling and getting up. And he was, even at the end of the day, he could jump off some stuff. He's not amazing, but like things that he wasn't able to do, he'd come off just a curb. All he's doing is like a little curb. He'd fall, smash. And then, but by the end of the day, he was coming off the curb and landing smooth.
Right.
And I was like, dude, it's just, you're setting expectations and you're putting them on me that like, I understand, like you don't want to disappoint me, but it's not me, it's you. It's for you. This is for you, not for me. Like you need to, if this is what you want to do, just know that you will get better if you try and not stop. Yeah. If you stay on the ground, you'll stay on the ground. You have to get up. And it's not like the old judo saying, actually I think it's in the Bible too, fall down 7, get up 8. But it's the truth. You know, like you don't limit your brain to what you can and cannot do. It's just got to get up, man. Do it again. And it's good sometimes when you see little growth and then you go, oh, okay, I can get better. You know, like I said, like there's stairs.
Yeah, all you need
you
is that
did
little
close
bit.
and you're like, oh, wait, I got close. And then you're like, it's what you know is possible. There's a story, too, of like, I think it's the 4-minute mile. I hate running, so I don't know.
Oh, God.
But like when the 4-minute mile, they thought it was impossible. When the first guy did it, like 4 other guys did it within like 2 months.
Yeah. I think the record's down to like 3:12.
Yeah, now it's like crazy. But like when you see that others can do it and you understand if they can do it, I can do it. And that is helpful too, you know. But sometimes people say, well, I'm not him. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But
you don't have to be him. You just have to recognize that the possibility exists.
Exists.
Because at least one person did it.
Exactly.
Now you know it's possible.
Yep.
Just point yourself towards that impossibility and go.
Yeah, exactly.
But real quick, though, because I know we're close to the end, I am doing one other project while I'm out there, and it's kind of on the same thing of being willing to fail. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to sing. I don't think I sing particularly well, but one thing I'm going to try and do is...
Well, you're going to a good state for that.
Yeah. I'm going to set up like my own little Rumble channel. I'm going to record myself singing 10 different songs.
What's Rumble channel?
It's like YouTube, but a lot smaller.
Okay.
I'm going to record myself singing 10 different songs, and then while I'm out in Tennessee, try and take singing lessons at least once a week. And then at the end of the year, come back and redo those 10 songs.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it'll suck at the beginning, but it's the willingness to be bad at something to try and get better.
It's so hard.
Because it's just muscle.
Yeah.
It's just more muscle. I should be able to be willing. Not willing. I should be able to do that. Just improve. It doesn't have to be great. Just better.
Yep. Yeah. That's awesome, man. So many people, again, don't want to look bad. And it's the same thing with my son. Like he didn't want. Also, he was like, everyone sees that I'm falling. I'm like,
my first thought was, man, people are gonna make fun of me because I suck. And then the rest of the thought was, so what?
Who cares?
It's supposed to suck. That's the point of it.
Yeah. Who cares? When you get over that feeling of like being a foolish beginner, before you become a master, you have to be a foolish beginner, and that's really hard for people to start. Even jiu-jitsu, I know that it's intimidating for people to come in and just try the first day because you're like, I'm going to get murdered.
Yeah, it is hard to choose to suffer.
It is hard. Yes, it is hard to choose to suffer. That's a good one.
And making that choice is what has made me a better person. It's what improved my life.
Oh, for sure.
And I couldn't have done that.
So many people have commented that, like, their changes that you've made in jiu-jitsu, like in your life, like losing weight, and like even your skin looks better, to be honest with you. Like you just look healthier, man.
When the gi doesn't get my face all ripped up, yes. I've noticed the alcohol not in my system has definitely improved my complexion and my skin.
Yeah, but do you feel you're eating better too?
I'm eating way better because like I'm not just eating junk and greasy, fatty, disgusting food. I'm not eating sweets or Doritos all the time. It's basically chicken, some beans, some cheese, then some more chicken.
Yeah, it's good food.
It's hard to overeat when you have like 3 pounds of chicken in your system because that's 1,200 calories.
Yep.
Your goal is
protein
2,000.
will fill you. Protein fills you up.
It's hard to overeat with chicken.
The carbs just feel like you just want more, and then you just want more, and you just want more. For me, at least,
I could eat donuts all day long and not even think about it.
Yeah, for sure. Just making incremental changes and seeing incremental success is rewarding. And people want the big change, like the microwave almost. Like, you want your food to put it in the microwave and you get food in 3 minutes. Versus like, oh, maybe you got to marinate it for 24 hours and then cook it the next day. And then you got to do the thing, like that's going to be a better meal. But everyone wants the microwave, I want a black belt in whatever, a year. I'm like, dude, that's just not how jiu-jitsu works. And, but noticing when the small stuff is like small rewards, small victories, dude. They stack up.
Well, sometimes the small little adjustment is like the biggest thing, especially with jiu-jitsu when it's a game of less than like a millimeter difference of where you place your knee to be able to grab a triangle
or timing
something,
too.
Yeah, just the small little things can be the most rewarding experience, but you don't realize how valuable the small thing is if you didn't choose to go through the bullshit.
For sure. Is there anything that you would like to talk about that we didn't cover, or
that pretty much covers it?
Is there any advice you would give to people that are new, that feel like maybe they can't do something that?
The best advice I could give is stop caring what other people think. Because you talk about day one jiu-jitsu, like you're worried about sucking. Sucking is you worrying about what other people think about what you're doing.
Yes.
Almost all the negative thoughts people have is, what does someone else think of this thing that I want to do, or I'm trying to do, or am doing? Once you ignore all of that crap, what you're doing becomes a lot more fulfilling and a lot easier to do. Jiu-jitsu helped me with that, because once I got that mindset of, I don't care what everyone thinks, because I'm going to come here and really struggle through something. Everyone else's opinions about my life and my decisions didn't matter. You know, when someone's trying to choke the crap out of you, it really puts things in perspective.
Oh, yeah.
What's more important in my life? My job or my family and all this other stuff? What am I going to miss? It's not going to be your work. It's not going to be your neighbor that you have a couple of beers with now and again. It really puts things into perspective, and it helps you cut out all the stuff that doesn't matter.
I think that's a great way to end it, man. I appreciate you coming on. Sorry it took me so long to get this going. I put this on pause for a little bit too, just the whole thing. Man, it's been inspiring to watch you the last couple of years, and I'm looking forward to hearing about your journey in Tennessee. So keep us posted, you know. And
I got another Rumble channel that will be documenting that. I'll give you the link.
Yeah, give me the link. Yeah, for sure. And I think it's been great, man. Like, you know, sometimes for me, I could get frustrated with people, and this is a very people-centric business for me. You know, the product is people, and so when I get stories like yours, like, it's fuel for me, that I feel like I'm doing, I'm on the right, like I'm not wasting my time. And because sometimes I'm like, am I wasting my time? Is this impactful? Am I being impactful? Like, am I being on a positive?
No, you've created a very fantastic school.
So every once in a while, like when we get good stories like yours, like, it's like, oh, dude, that's great. Okay, it gives me fuel to just keep going, and keep going, and hopefully get better at helping other people. So I appreciate it, man, and that's it. Peace.
Let me talk for just a second, help me feel that sense of rhythm. Find the meanings in our bearings and discover this position as a stage along the way. Another rung to the ladder, either stalling or you're climbing, and I'd rather beat the ladder. Instead of getting fatter, let the footsteps resume naturally.